USS Indianapolis was a Portland-class cruiser of the United States Navy. She was named for the city of Indianapolis, Indiana. She was flagship for Admiral Raymond Spruance while he commanded the Fifth Fleet in battles across the Central Pacific. Her sinking led to the greatest single loss of life at sea in the history of the U.S. Navy. On 30 July 1945, after delivering parts for the first atomic bomb to the United States Air Base at Tinian, the ship was torpedoed by the Imperial Japanese Navy submarine I-58, sinking in 12 minutes. Of 1,196 crewmen aboard, approximately 300 went down with the ship. The remaining 900 faced exposure, dehydration, saltwater poisoning, and shark attacks while floating with few lifeboats and almost no food or water. The Navy learned of the sinking when survivors were spotted 4 days later by the crew of a PV-1 Ventura on routine patrol. Only 317 survived. Construction. Indianapolis was the second of two ships in the Portland class, the third class of treaty cruisers, constructed by the United States Navy following the Washington Naval Treaty of 1922. Following the two vessels of the Pensacola-class cruiser ordered in 1926 and the six of the Northampton-class cruiser ordered in 1927, ordered for the U.S. Navy in fiscal year 1930. Indianapolis was originally designated as a light cruiser, because of her thin armor, and given the Hull classification symbol CA-35. She was reclassified a heavy cruiser, because of her 8-inch guns, with the symbol CA-35 on 1 July 1931, in accordance with the London Naval Treaty. As built, the Portland-class cruisers were designed for a standard displacement of 10,258 tons, and a full load displacement of 12,755 tons. However, when completed, she did not reach this weight, displacing 9,950 tons. The ship had two distinctive rate funnels, a tripod foremast, and a small tower and pole mast aft. In 1943, light tripods were added forward of the second funnel on each ship, and a prominent naval director was installed aft. The ship had 4 propeller shafts and 4 Parsons GT-geared turbines and 8 White Forster boilers. The 107,000 shaft horsepower gave a design speed of 32.7 knots. She was designed for a range of 10,000 nautical miles at 15 knots. She rolled badly until fitted with a bilge keel. The cruiser had 9 Mark Chapter 9 .55 caliber guns in 3 triple mounts, a super-firing pair fore and one aft. For anti-aircraft defense, she had 8 .25 caliber guns and 2 QF 3-pounder Hotchkiss guns. In 1945, she received 24 Bofors 40mm guns, arrayed in 6 quad mounts. Both ships were upgraded with 19 Helicon 20mm cannons. No torpedo tubes were fitted on her. Portland class originally had 1-inch armor for deck and side protection, but in construction they were given belt armor between 5 inches and 3.25 inches in thickness. Armor on the bulkheads was between 2 inches and 5.75 inches. That on the deck was 2.5 inches. The barbets 1.5 inches. The gun houses 2.5 inches, and the conning tower 1.25 inches. Portland-class cruisers were outfitted as fleet flagships, with space for an admiral and his staff. The class also had 2 aircraft catapult amidships. They could carry 4 aircraft. The total crew varied, with a regular designed complement of 807, a wartime complement of 952, which could increase to 1,229 when the cruiser was a fleet flagship. Indianapolis was laid down by New York Shipbuilding Corporation on 31 March 1930. The hull and machinery were provided by the builder. Indianapolis was launched on 7 November 1931 and commissioned on 15 November 1932. She was the second ship named for Indianapolis, Indiana, following the cargo ship of the same name in 1918. She was sponsored by Lucy Taggart, daughter of former mayor of Indianapolis Thomas Taggart. Interwar period. Under her first captain, John M. Smiley, Indianapolis undertook her shakedown cruise through the Atlantic and into Guantanamo Bay until 23 February 1932. Indianapolis then transited the Panama Canal Zone for training off the Chilean coast. After overhaul at Philadelphia Navy Yard, she sailed to Maine to embark President Franklin Delano Roosevelt at Campobello Island in New Brunswick on 1 July 1933. Getting underway the same day, Indianapolis arrived at Annapolis, Maryland on 3 July. She hosted 6 members of the cabinet along with Roosevelt during its stay there. After disembarking Roosevelt, she departed Annapolis on 4 July and steamed for Philadelphia Navy Yard. On 6 September, she embarked Secretary of the Navy Claude A. Swanson for an inspection of the Navy in the Pacific. Indianapolis toured the Canal Zone, Hawaii, and installations in San Pedro and San Diego. Swanson disembarked on 27 October. On 1 November 1933, she became flagship of Scouting Force 1, and maneuvered with the force off Long Beach, California. She departed on 9 April 1934 and arrived at New York City and embarked Roosevelt a second time, for a naval review. She returned to Long Beach on 9 November 1934 for more training with the Scouting Force. She remained flagship of Scouting Force 1 until 1941. On 18 November 1936, she embarked Roosevelt a third time at Charleston, South Carolina, and conducted a goodwill cruise to South America with him. She visited Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, Buenos Aires, Argentina, and Montevideo, Uruguay for state visits before returning to Charleston and disembarking Roosevelt's party on 15 December.